Welcome back to the channel. Today, you can see we'll be taking a look at the new Dawn of Heroes set from Final Fantasy. Pre-release kits are out, and we've already had our pre-release event here in Vegas. Today we'll be opening up 2 boxes of pre-release kits, and in addition to that, be taking a look at my pre-release kit that I opened up for the pre-release event here in Vegas, and what I put together, what I think about the cards. So let's start with taking a look at my very first box opening at the pre-release event.
And all I want to do is find a place where it will be so dark I can't see. I'll let the music guide me. I see through silence and follow it to some reality. And now to feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white. Let's make time tomorrow for doing nothing. I'm just gonna say goodbye to yesterday and all the days of light illuminates the neon shades alleviate the grace. And now to feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white. Let's make time to tomorrow for doing nothing. And now to feel alive, and all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise, and I feel alive. And all the flashing colors fill inside my mind. I breathe and close my eyes. The music animates me till I'm out of time. A paradise never turned to black and white. don't know who I'm leaning on. I'm knocking on the door, but there are capable of moving on. And honestly, it seems I don't belong. So tell me, do you feel like passing by? And tell me, does your blood run cold like mine? Somewhere in the in-between is somewhere that I wanna be. 'Cause I feel like passing by.
So what I put together from that was this here. My strongest element by far was my wind element, because I got the goddess, which is removal. So that goddess, now it takes a turn, they get a whole turn, but everything that, all of their forwards that were on the board are then put into the break zone at the end of their turn. So it is a very good, very, 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 very strong bit of removal. I went with Earth, even though my Earth wasn't super strong. I went with Earth because I got these 2 Leos and the 2 Kirans. The Kirans here are a way to spend their crystals, because he gains a crystal when he comes in, and he gains a crystal when he attacks. But he's able to spend he's a common that's able to spend the crystals to pump himself, so makes him a very good blocker, very good attacker. He can be searched off a Leo, or searched and played off a Leo, but what you really use in Leo for, the other ones, Yuri, Chelinka, and then, believe it or not, Bel'Det's actually a very good target as well if your opponent has something like a Xenos or something in their break zone that is returnable removal. So like Bel'Det, I used a lot of times to just pull Xenos out the game, and then I just let Xenos stay and remove from game, not casting it so they can bounce it to hand or anything like that. So very happy with what I've got together. What I've got, wind and earth. You know, Aerith being able to get back a forward after she comes in on a warp. I've got the Melfi searching the Sonin, so you get that 1k Brave if Melfi's in the break zone and you play Sonin. And then Yuffie's getting the Shuriken counters, and when she attacks, you can deal 8k. So very happy with that. Water, I ended up going with water because I had a lot of removal in water, and I think this is where I would have changed what I did. I went 2 and 2. We played Swiss. There were only 5 of us, so I went 2 and 2. Alphanod, very, very good. You know, your opponent has to select a dull forward, and they remove it and they put it in the break zone. Very powerful effect. You know, gets around a lot of things. Even in standard, gets around of Titus, the Titus that can't be selected. If the Titus is the only thing that attacks, kill it with Alphanod. The Waka here, very good. It's a 8k ping when it attacks. It just, you know, the 7 cost is not really a 7 cost because you're going to spend the first couple of turns trying to get out like 2 or 3 backups. Most likely 3 backups, so then it costs 4, and then it's a repeatable attack. But you do have to put another backup into the break zone, so it does cost a lot. Luna Freya, it's another select, but your opponent can select anything, so they can select their weakest thing. So this is where it starts to get a little bit weaker with the water. Meliadul, very nice, being able to have a Porum effect until she leaves the field. You know, as long as Meliadul is on the field, that forward loses all abilities. So until they can remove Meliadul, very, very good. Formelda is a looter. When she attacks, Mist lets you cycle through your deck, putting one into the break zone. if she's in there. So, and then Blue Goo can shut off an auto ability selecting a forward you control. So, pretty good effect. Now, if I wasn't... And then backups, like I said, had the Leo, had the Miner searching for other backups. Quite a few crystal generators. The only burst I think I have here is Waka, who doesn't even get turned on until there's 3 backups. So, and then really nice one, I did get the Materia backup. Materia here, she gains a crystal when she comes into play, but then she can also, it's essentially a 2 cost to reveal the top 4 and put a forward into your hand. It's a very powerful, it's a good way to spend your crystals if in limited, and she can also gain a crystal, so you can gain 1 turn, next turn, filter. Very, very good card. This and the Spiritus. The Spiritus, I didn't get that one. The Spiritus that gives plus 5k. And then gains a crystal if you've used 2 more crystals. So, your crystal users, Kieran and Materia, Spiritus, and then there's one more in Fire, then there's a couple more that are all legends and heroes. But like I said, I think if I was rebuilding it again, this would come out, and this is what would go in instead. The only one I'm not sure of, Warrior of Light, it does let you remove something, reveal the top 4, remove something from play, and you can play it that turn. Otherwise, I don't know if it goes to the break zone. No, it stays and removed from game. So that's the only issue with that, is if you don't play it, it stays removed from game. Now, you've got your choice of the top 4. But the only one that might go in instead would be the Red 13, because I have 2 Yufis, I have Sona and Aerith, Melfi, Tifa, a lot of 7 characters, or 7 forwards, and I have like 7 forwards that could turn that on. That would be the only other one to consider instead of the Warrior Light. But I think this is what I would go with instead, because the Auron prevents a damage, deals itself 8k, so I can prevent damage to me, the player, and then draw a card if he stays on the board at the end of the turn. Garland, choose a forward, deal it 2k for each backup, so you're really incentivized to build your backups. And then backup wise, and then Palom, another way to spend a crystal. If you pay a crystal on the ETB, it deals 8k. So we've got, this one is much stronger, especially like you've got the Ifrit that I got, which would be summon removal, which I didn't have any great summons in either the other. I didn't have any summons in either of the other 2 colors. And then Phoenix, it's not Phoenix, Phoenix, has an ATB of dealing 9k damage to a forward. And then you can make it a forward by removing 4 cards from your break zone, and a 9k body as well. So an easy one to get turned on, and very repeatable. So I think this is what I would actually, rebuilding, this is what I would go with. You got Arden that lets you use your backups to reveal until you get 2 characters and play them onto the field. So, it is much more, I think it would be much more powerful this way, and especially when you have Blacksmith, that when he ETBs, all forwards you control and gain, when this forward attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 7k. So if you have like 3 or 4 forwards out there, you've got 28,000 damage worth of ping when he enters the battlefield. So I think I would have had much better removal this way. And if I was rebuilding it, this is how I'd rebuild it. Alright. But so far, some of the things that I do think are pretty powerful. Phoenix, a 9k is very good. The Sifrit, 1 cost to 1 cost for a 5k is okay. 5 fire characters, 1 cost for 10k is amazing. Goddess, awesome. Nobody had the demon in our group. Nobody pulled that one, but somebody did actually pull the Neo X Death, and I managed to mill it and steal it with Beldat. So Beldat, not amazing. Beldat could be very good if something really nice is milled. If she does mill something very nice. Yuri Chelinka, if you can get them, Leo searching them and then them being able to play each other or just pitching a card is amazing. And if they can stay on the field together, they are awesome. Yuri, when he forms a party, he breaks a 5 cost or more forward, or 4 cost or more, or he activates all the characters you can control. So when my opponent wasn't playing 4 cost because I didn't want him to get broken, I was still getting the reactivation, so I could attack with Yuri Chelinka, have them just be able to get through, because if they blocked it, their stuff just dies. Yuri Chelinka survive, and then I could reactivate, play more stuff. So it was, especially when you had like materia out there, you build materia, you pay your 1, dull materia, do your search, and then you go to attacks and you reactivate all your characters, you get materia back as well. So you can then do that same effect on your opponent's turn, and becomes much more repeatable, and it's a very powerful effect. Kieran said very good, able to buff himself, keep himself alive, able to push himself through. He makes them very hard for them to attack. Like I said, very good. Need to get a full play set of some things. Like I said, this one is very good and will probably be going into anything I build with Wind, because it's one of the best removal cards in the game. It's not immediate, but if you can, survive, like a Wind Ice, Goddess comes down, and and then if you manage to freeze everything so you can keep yourself alive, then the next turn they don't have any threats, and you can start targeting, you can start killing, like freezing down backups instead of forwards. Alright, well, that's a look at what I built in the pre-release and what I think about what I've played so far. Let's get into these pre-release kits that I have here. Pre-release kit number 1. So this is all the pre-release kits that I have. So after this I'll have opened 27 packs in total. So hopefully I get a few more legends. Let's see if it would have been a better pre-release kit. Alright, so every kit comes with the Alice Scion that lets you search for get a 3 cost Scion back from the break zone and play it on the field. Really good card. Really good new addition to Scions. Same with the Alphanod. And then we have the Alphanod pre-release kit sleeves. Really nice sleeves. I'll have to put a Scion deck together just so I can play with those. Then we got our 9 packs. Alright. Geomancer, Warrior Light, Kadaj, Edward, Gigas, Genesis, Dragoon. First foil is a Common Alchemist. The Hero, Hippocampus. This would have been interesting to see. It lets you dull 3 active characters to deal 1k for every 2 characters you control. So you do have to have a lot of characters, but even if you have a full set of backups plus Hippocampus, that's 2k per. And then Cisne for the first rare. No. That's actually a very good one. Activate all the wind characters you control. So Mono Wind has a new backup activator. And then a Meliadul. Next pack, Ganache, Sephiroth. Sephiroth, very expensive, but you know, he is a threat if he's warped. You have to either decide if you want something you have to die, or if you want to your opponent to kill something of their own. Behemoth, Sonin. Next one, we do have a Hero Foil, number 24. When he enters the field, or beginning of main phase 1, he has a barrier counter. If he is dealt damage, you can remove a barrier counter and the damage becomes 0. So he's able to protect himself with barrier counters. So every turn he's able to add a barrier counter. And then if you build up too many barrier counters and are not attacking with them, or, you know, removing those barrier counters, he does end up dull at the end of your turn, so he can't block them. But very good card. Ooh, Shinryu. So Legend Shinryu here. I would have loved to have gotten this. Shinryu's 5 cost, but he becomes a 2 cost if your opponent has 3 or more 3 forwards more than you do. But a brave 9k. That when he enters the field, you search for any card, is awesome. Plus, he does have a special, not relevant in limited, but special could be relevant because you do have the other, the other Shinryu, which is I believe 5 cost as well. So that's nice. And for rares, Chadley, Aerith, and Red 13, who, if you're playing in a 7 deck, is a 2 CP 9k. Right, next one, we got Armor, Goldsmith, Mira, who, as Mira likes revealing adding monsters. It's decent. Blacksmith, that's the one that ETB, all your forwards get the deal 7k when they attack. Third class soldier, who is not a soldier for the NGO, unfortunately. Foil Geomancer. Hero is an Ifrit. And we have the Celeste, Chelinka, and Mist. Brilliant Drake, Yuffie, Leatherworker, Assassin, Mont Blanc, Morrow, Miner, and then have a Jill Nabat, Common Foil, and then the hero is the Spiritus. So yeah, this Spiritus is another way to spend your crystals during limited events. I don't know how much play it will see otherwise, but I mean, it is a good way to spend crystals. A 5+5k power until end of turn is amazing. That makes things like, I'm just thinking about, like, if you went back and you went to the, like, the FFBE, what was it, Daisy, that Daisy takes all the damage for your party. If he's able to give, you know, and typically you're going to be running that with like a Earth, Water, Glaciella, so you'll have crystals. So Earth, Water, Glaciella, Robo, you'll have some crystals. But if you could pump Daisy and then keep Daisy alive for longer, while everything else is attacking. It's amazing. Core Setzer, Setzer. 6 forwards can form a party at any element. That's very nice. And then you dull freeze a character if 2/6 characters form that party. Very good. And then last one here in this pack, Ignis. If you so when he comes in, put a backup into the break zone. You get to break a forward, and then he also gets then his second one, which is when a backup is put in from the field into the break zone, you add a forward to your hand from the break zone. So very powerful effect, and the backup one is the second one there is repeatable. So if you have any of the backups that break themselves, they break them towards the end of the game, you start breaking your backups and you can start adding back your forwards from the break zone. So very good effect, very, very strong. Especially when you think about like what retainers or just 15 in general wants to do. So Ignis grabbing back your Noctis, and then Ignis then allowing you to grab back your Promptos or anything that they've killed, just to start getting those fight damage is very good. Warrior Light, Ganache, Edward, Kieran, discussed him already. Hero Chaos, decent and limited if you get Xenos, because it can play a dark forward onto a 4 or less and play it onto the field. In standard, you've got your Kadaj, you've got that Xenos, you've got some Sephiroth, you've got a number of 4 cost or less dark forwards that would be very good to get onto the field. So yeah, it's situational, but it could be good. It's amazing in the situations where it's good. The second ability would require you to play a lot more dark. The most time you're not going to use that, but it's always possible. Oop. And then the actual hero is the Noctis. When he ETBs, he gives another forward to K Brave. And then if Noctis goes from the field to the break zone, you may put one character you control into the break zone, and then you play Noctis back onto the field dull. So, and then he permanently then has plus 2k. So he becomes a 9k, and then he also gets that ETB effect as well. So killing him during battle, he can return himself, give somebody else a plus 2k, and then he makes himself a 9k permanently. So not the best Noctis, but a good Noctis. Emperor, Ignis, Meliadul. Geomancer, Johnny, able to return any character from your break zone except for Johnny. Reeve, really nice. I actually really like Reeve just because he's got an EX burst. You look at the top 3 cards of your deck, you don't have to reveal them, and you can just put a card into your hand. So that's any card, so you don't have to reveal. It's very nice. It will never miss. It may not get you the best thing, but it will never miss. Unlike those ones that are reveal and put a backup or put a wind card, this will never miss. So very strong, and it's got a burst. Gigas, Genesis, common foil Reeve, just discussed him. Hero is Fat Chocobo. It's 8 cost, but it is reduced by 1 for every 3 wind characters, and wind can put a lot of stuff on the board. And it is it's pretty much a board wipe. 8k to all forwards opponent controls, so it's one-sided only. It allows Wind to keep its strategy against, and still be competitive against things like 13 that are going to play very quickly. Wind could get their 2 backups out first turn. The next turn, if they're playing 13, you have Fat Chocobo in hand for 6 to wipe out their board. So it's a big deal this could be a very big deal for Wind. A one-sided board wipe that deals with aggro decks that are just trying to put a lot of forwards out very quickly. And then that gives Wind more time to then set up. Yes, it costs a lot of resources initially, but for, like I said, Wind Storm decks that are trying to do that thing, it could be important to get you there to the long game. Setzer, Brother. This one here, it's okay if you're playing a 10. Your Brother lets you reactivate all your 10 characters. It's a 10 Storm, but I guess if you're running the 019 Riku backup, he becomes a 4-cost 10k power that also lets you reactivate. It's decent. Not amazing, but decent. Waka Waka, Chocobo, love the artwork. Illusionist, Botanist, Melfi, Jill Nabat. I have 8. That's a second. Put my comments in the wrong pile. Oops. That is a second. Actually, a full art Leo. So I thought it was just foil. Just realized it's actually a full art Leo. That's cool. Love the artwork. I remember the other Leo, was it the 1 cost from 13, I believe? Opus 13? That had this side of Leo. So the card was flipped over. But yeah, that's nice looking. We'll keep that over there. And Hero Beldat. Beldat, like I said, could be a very good card, especially in any, mill strategies going forward. Not only do you mill, so, if you're combining like Beldat with Zidane, and you can just start removing a lot of stuff and, using your opponent's deck against them. But adds another card for a mill strategy. I don't know if mill will ever be truly viable, but it adds another card for that strategy. The Terra, Alphanol, and then there's a regular Leo. Arxidora, Garland, Leatherworker, Juggler. The foil in this one is a common foil Warrior of Light, which lets you reveal the top 4 of your deck, remove 1 from game, and then you can cast it. It stays removed from game otherwise. And then have the, which is the box topper here, the Hero Alize. Don't know if anybody actually pulled that during their pre-release event. I don't remember seeing any of them. And then Stiltskin, which buffs up your Yuri and Chelinka. So if you have Stiltskin, Yuri, if you have Stiltskin, Yuri, Chelinka, and Leo out, so if you're doing Wind, Earth, Yuri and Chelinka become 10Ks, that when they party attack, they, don't take damage, you're then Yuri's effects, so that's actually really good for 2 specific cards, but if you have a whole Yuri Chelinka deck tech thing. Palome, Rosa. This Rosa is actually very nice if you're looking at a 4 if you're looking at building like a 4 deck out, especially the new Cecil that is water. There's one that's water, there's one that's earth. There's the one that's the dark Cecil that you can play for 1 earth, 1 water, instead of paying the 5 cost that it is. So it, and then if Rose is out on the board, you can actually pay that with 2 CP of any element, so you can pitch 1 card to play that. And then you break that one to get any Paladin Cecil out. So that can be the new Cecil, the new 5 cost Cecil, or if you wanted to, you could then play out, you could search and play out the Opus 16 5 cost Wind Cecil. That lets you then play another character of 4 or less on to the board. So you could, this Rosa lets you, it turns on a lot of stuff with your making category 4 more viable. Johnny number 5. Got a foil Yuri. It's actually my second foil Yuri. I'm not too sad with that. This Yuri is very nice. And then have a Legend of the Fiend. Yes. One of the 3 warring triads. So the other ones are the Demon and the Goddess. I've seen the Goddess already. I'd love to get the Demon. Demon's so cool. But the Fiend here, during each turn, so that's either your turn or your opponent's turn, the first summon that they cast is canceled. The second summon obviously goes through, but then on damage 3, if he's chosen by an ability, that's canceled. And then on damage 5, he becomes a 9k Brave, and if he's dealt damage less than his power, it becomes 0. So he becomes very hard to kill, because you can't kill him. You'd have to cast either 2 summons or target him with 2 abilities in order to kill him. And then if it's damage, it has to deal 9k or more at damage 5. Yeah, it's very powerful, especially if you're playing a deck that's about control and you want to keep something specific alive. Could you imagine the Fiend and Minwu? Because the Opus 17 5 cost Minwu that lets you cancel an auto ability targeting a forward. So imagine the Fiends out there and they can't even kill the Fiend because you got Minwu and the Fiend both canceling everything. Amazing. The only thing you're vulnerable to then would be like removal from like a Shantoto, like a full-on wipe or a select. Yeah, that's amazing card. Usoya, very good. Allows you to, if you're in Lightning, allows you to play a, cast a 2-cost summon for free when he attacks. So imagine like I have my Wind Lightning Ramuh Lord 11 deck. Well, Fusoya could then cast for free from your hand any of your things, any of your breakers for Ramuh Lord 11, and then you can get those back with Man in Black, replay them. Yeah, very good. Fake, okay. It's a big body, but it needs to get out very early, or you have to self-damage. I mean, if you're gonna play Fake, you're probably gonna be in like a Fire Earth, and you're gonna have Bosch, but not overly impressed with it. A 10k Brave for 2 is awesome. A 10k Brave for 2 that does nothing for 3 turns is not quite as good. And Arden. That was the first box. Let me get this Leo sleeved up, then move back for the second box. Now we have box number 2. So far, I have pulled a full art from both of my pre-release kits. Neither one was a legend, but like that. I really like that, Leo. That's beautiful artwork. The other one I got was the full art assassin, which is that one cost that lets you break a damage forward, which is an okay effect, but you have to build around it. You have to have a lot of stuff that does like little pings or whatever. Got the Alice again. Got the sleeves. And of course the 9 packs. Ganache, Sephiroth, Samurai, Oracle, Oral, and then we got foil is a Waka. And then Heroes Hippocampus again. Rares are Angeal. So yeah, Angeal. Within this set, not great because there's no other. I think the only other soldier in this set might be Zack, but he works well with the Fire Lightning Zack. And then there's some older soldiers as well. There's some clouds that were soldiers, obviously. Fake, and then Mist. When she enters the field, draw a card, and then her main thing is her warp effect. She warps for free, so you can play her with anything, and especially if you have some stuff that wants to go into the break zone, she lets you take your top card and decide if you want to put it in the break zone. So if you have something that specifically wants to be there, or if you're just filtering, it just filters for you. And Hanaleb, Assassin, that's the one I got full art. So a common full art, not the best. Foil is Rare Leslie. Leslie's actually very good. A one cost, and then you may discard, and if you do, return a forward to their opponent's hand. And then if it's a category 7, you also draw a card, so essentially you get that card back. So it's a 3 cost that becomes a 1 cost if you discard a 7 to bounce something. And Hero Chaos, discussed that one earlier. No. Core. Lightning more job captains were needed because of the Glauca that lets you search for 2 job captains of different name and put them in your hand. But this is not a good card at all. It's okay if you have a job king, but Core becomes a 10k. But this is underwhelming. If Core is put from the field into the break zone, you remove 10 cards from your top of your deck. So mill yourself 10 cards to return him to the play dull. That's it. He doesn't have an ETB. That expensive? I would expect a super powerful ETB that happens specifically when he is returned from the break zone to play. Maybe he doesn't get it initially, but I expect that there to be an ETB that when he's returned from the break zone to the field, he gets some crazy powerful effect. And the fact that he doesn't means this card is absolutely useless except for being job captain. For him, with the Fire Palom in this set, together, they're able to deal 10k to something if you put them both in the break zone, if you form them together. Other than that, you can loot and then gain a crystal if you discard a 4. But only when he's put from the field into the break zone, so he needs to die. Blacksmith, a hedgehog pie. That's the other fire monster. The Phoenix is the better one of those two, but you can get a bunch of hedgehog pies out and play them for free. So if there's, you can discard one card, search for a hedgehog pie, and play it on the field, and then he does 5k damage if you put him from the field into the break zone. So that could be, it could really actually be very good, especially if you're in a draft situation and you see, you know, common hedgehog pies. You could take hedgehog pies and you could run 4 or 5 of them in your deck, and you could just have 20k of damage just sitting there ready to go, and you get to choose when you use that. So you could then, you know, cycle 4 hedgehog pies onto the field. It's actually very good for limited. It's okay otherwise, but very good limited. Oil Miner. Then another summon. This is the water summon, Unicorn, which is a summon in 6. It's like the first summons, cat 6 summons in the game. So 6 title is actually getting some summons. But select 2 cost. You can activate a forward and draw a card, or you can bounce a 4 cost or less forward back to opponent's hand, or back to its owner's hand. And you can select both of those if you have 6 forwards. So, like I said, 6 title, getting something decent. You know, 6 title does want things to be reactivated, especially if you've got, you know, some of the, you know, a lot of the special effects with Sabin, and then you've got a lot of those. So, it's pretty decent. Reno, Arden, and then Leo. Waka Waka, Chocobo, Prompto. Prompto backup decent, but he was the best retainer in the Noctis versus Arden set. He was the best retainer for that retainer deck, so I don't see how you would take him out. I understand, like, switching out the 5 cost Wind Ignis for the new Earth Ignis. I get that, but there's no way that you take that Prompto out. The only way I can see anything happening with this Prompto is somehow you're trying to build a 15 deck that is what? Lightning Wind instead of, I don't know. I don't see where he would be used. I don't see taking out the other 2 cost Prompto forward that becomes an 8k if you have Noctis. It's a ghost. Then have rare foil Ritz. She pings for 3k, and if that thing dies, draw a card. It's a very crappy Brynhilder that doesn't even have a burst. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you can plan around it, you can get the card draw, ping for 3k, and then deal it the rest of the damage, and then you still get the card draw just like Brynhilder does. It's an underwhelming ping, but could be okay with when you think about things like the Assassin. So Wind, Lightning, if you Ritz and then Assassin, Ritz, going old school Ewan, that ETB, that the 1 cost that ETBs that breaks the damage forward, and then you get the card draw. So okay there, but other than that, it's just an underwhelming card. Ooh, Legend Estinian. Estinian is awesome. 1 cost warp, or 1 cost and only 1 turn to wait on the warp. Has haste. When he enters due to warp, he gains brave and can attack twice in the same turn. So this card is amazing. If you've set something up, let's say you've set something up like the Goddess. You play the Goddess for 7, and then you know everything is going to die at the end of your opponent's turn. You then warp a Stenian. Your opponent has to play stuff out, but then you know that you've got a Stenian coming in the next turn. Your opponent knows you got a Stenian coming in that can then attack twice in that same turn. So, very, very, very good card. And then when he attacks, he gains plus 10k in first strike. So, he's also impossible to block. Could you imagine if you have him, you attack, and then you have a fight effect? 2 CP Heka? So, not only does he do that, he then can fight something for 18k? How amazing would that be? Yeah, very nice card. There's a reason that this is the premier card, one of the premier cards in this set. Eject, useless in absolutely useless and limited unless you get the demon. Other than that, he could be. There are certain things where he could be interesting. There are some. If he dies and you can then search for any fire forward of 7 cost or more and play it on the field. And, that gets you a Braska's Final Aeon. That gets you some crazy good stuff for free. And all you have to do is kill Eject. So, if you in standard, if you built around this, it could be good, allowing you to specifically search and play something of 7 cost or more for free. Geomancer, Ganache, Samurai, Blugu, common foil monster, Cerulean Drake. Choose a forward. When it enters, choose a forward, freeze it. And then he can break himself to dull a forward, or you can pay, and he can break a dull forward. Yeah. New modular Remu that you can dull a forward, deal ping for 5k, or give something haste, and you can do 2 or 3 of those. It's actually not bad. It doesn't deal with monsters like the 3 CP does, but it also gets that 5k damage on all forwards, not just active forwards. So it does have that benefit. Emperor shuts down, it taxes action abilities, which could be... ETBs are much more common than action abilities, but it does tax things like your 2CP Rydia that is playing summons for free. They now play those summons for 2 cost. So it does shut that down where, your Kusith returning whatever is not free anymore. It now costs 2. There's those that, it does shut down some of those ones. Also, increases the cost of, the Water Lena, so they do have to be able to pay that cost in order to get the Lev back, so they can't get Exaxes. It's not the best thing, but it does slow down ones that are using a lot of action abilities to do a lot of shenanigans, especially like I said, the free cast. Setzer, fake, and got 4 more packs left. Alchemist, Kadaj, Edward, Soldier, Leporit, Miner. Grahatia. A new Scion. The Grahatia here. If you control a 14 forward, or 14 character, she becomes, Grahatia becomes a 10k. And then when they enter, pay X, search for a scion of X, and put it onto the field. So not only do you get to search, but you get to search and play. So you're playing a 10K, and it immediately gets you, even if you didn't have a 14 character before that, it immediately gets you a 14 character and plays it onto the field. So very, very good card. Amazing for Scions. Chaining that with like an like Grahatia, Alisaie, Alphinaud. All of them. So yes, you have to pay 7 on Grahatia. You'd have to pay 7, but for 7 you get 10 CP played onto the field. Amazing. Number 128 hero. What's this one do? It's another 6 character. For free, for 0 cost, you can deal 7k to all forwards opponent controls. Cannot be reduced. Can only be used if number 128 has received 4k damage or more and only once per turn. Now, how are you pinging 128 for 4k damage? That's what we have to think about, is what can ping for like 5k damage a turn to get that turned on. Don't know, but it's a very powerful effect if you can get it turned on. And it also does making blocking number 128 very interesting, because actually no, because as soon as his damage number hits 0, he's put from the field into the break zone, so he can't get his ability off, I don't think. But that's a interesting one to see. I might see what I could build around that. See how many ways see what elements can. I mean, I'm guessing fire. That's going to be a fire wind build. But yeah, that's going to be like the issue is you can't ping him with Braska because that's 7k. So it's going to be 5k pings. So that's going to be what's interesting to see how you're going to ping him for 5k. Premelda, Johnny. Foil is the common foil of Moro. Then have our other summon here. We got the Ice Summon. All the summons in this set are heroes. It's actually a really good set for limited. Something interesting, this set has no multi-elements. It also brings back a lot of crystal stuff, so it's another way to spend crystals. And then has pretty decent crystal generators. But not a lot of summons. All the summons are heroic though, so you're not going to have a lot of summons in limited events. But this one, very powerful. You can choose to freeze all the forwards opponent's controls. So if your opponent went aggro and attacked a bunch, you can then freeze all of your opponent's forwards. So imagine like a 13 deck or something like that tries to go aggro and then it gets you up to like 5 damage. Then you play Mateus, and then everything is all of your opponent's forwards are frozen for the next turn. Now he does remove from the game, so it's not repeatable. It's not repeatable with Men in Black or something crazy. But yeah, it could either freeze all your opponent's forwards or all your opponent's backups. So it also locks them out from their backups to cast Warrior or Light. So you can shut down that one as well. It's actually probably going to see a lot of play in ice decks. Cisne. Cisne is interesting because she can turn all of your Shuriken counters. That would be Shuriken counters on Cisne, on Edge, on Yuffie, all of them can become a Dull Freeze. Because she can remove a shuriken counter from any character and Dull Freeze. It's actually really good. The Fire Tifa, it's actually the first time I've seen the Fire Tifa. 5k haste. When a 7 character deals damage to a forward, and then you make a forward not be able to block until end turn. Okay. But she does have a 8k, it's a 2 cost plus special 8k ping. It's not there's much better Tifas. Mega Sisters. Shuts down hasters. So, shuts down your, if you get Mega Sisters out, shuts down all of your, like your 13 hasters, or, the things that would be in the lightning deck, like the Ishtola. Ishtola can't gain haste. She could still damage herself to ping for power reduction of 4k, but she cannot give herself haste and attack. So, okay. Arlen, Johnny, and Helem. Foil is a blacksmith. Then have another hero, Alize, Soya, Ignis, and Leslie. And then the last pack, will I get a full art in this one? That would mean a full art in every pre-release kit I opened. If not, that's alright. Alchemist, Geomancer, Warrior of Light, Leatherworker, Juggler, and the foil, oh, there's a ghost, and the foil is regular. Looks like it's a common foil of the crystal generating Geomancer. And do have a last legend, Legend Yuna. If she's chosen, you can discard a summon and cancel its effect. And then if anytime you cast a summon, draw a card, happens once per turn. So she does let you cycle using your summons. So it's interesting. It's not the best. Her S ability is actually very good. Choose a forward, deal it 3k for every summon in your break zone. So, kind of like how Elvis only needs to see a few soirees to kill something, Yuna only needs to see 3 summons to be able to kill something with her S. And there's lots of Yunas that you want to play. It's Les, brother. Final card is Palom. So, got some beautiful stuff in this, especially that full art Leo. Looking forward to the new set. Looking forward to building with the new set.